right. This is Eric from Longwealth Capital, and if you want to introduce yourself here, Michael.
This is Michael Jonas, member of Longwealth Capital.
Awesome. Just want to give a little context here. Michael, why don't you just introduce yourself, like your background and everything from here, and we'll go get started.
I've basically been working in the oil field for my entire career after finishing college. I guess what kind of started my path focusing on stocks is COVID. I had some money in a Roth IRA and COVID hit and everything dropped to a nice entry level. I kind of migrated at that point. I had a lot of cash in that account and some mutual funds, but I migrated that all to some stocks that worked out well. Of course, after COVID, a lot of things bounced back up. And so that kind of started things, and then some other events happened at work, and their policies that kind of made me realize that I had to focus on my own retirement planning. Probably the biggest thing there is they migrated from some good balanced funds in the 401k to target funds, which I'm not a big fan of. So I started migrating my 401k to a self-directed account, and I've been managing that for 2 to 3 years now.
Wow, love that. So kind of going back to it, so especially you've been managing for 2, 3 years now on your own during COVID or before COVID exactly when it happened. So what made you want to join Longwealth Capital for yourself here?
Well, I kind of started off on a journey there and really started doing things myself. Mm-hmm. And of course, as every investor starts off, they make some mistakes or they don't know the best methods to do that, right? Yeah. Like high dividend stocks, because those are allegedly safer. Yeah. And some bonds. Ran into one issue with one of the dividend stocks that I was in, and so that made me seek out some more advice. So I've signed up for some newsletters and some more professional support for selecting stocks, and eventually that journey has led to finding Longwealth Capital. That's been a huge benefit for me, because I've wanted to learn and develop my abilities with undervalue investing.
And so, especially being part of Longwealth Capital and the undervalue method specifically, what do you like about this strategy?
Well, what I really like about Longwealth Capital is their focus is not just on, hey, buy this stock, okay, sell this stock. It's teaching you why they are interested in an undervalued stock, reviewing all the fundamentals, and then also, teaching you when it makes sense to get in with the technical analysis. And above all that, it's really that they're focused on teaching you to do these things yourself in the future, and not just pick this stock, get out of the stock. It's teaching you the method of how to find undervalued stocks, and also, the fact that Longwealth Capital is there coaching you on wherever you are on your path and supporting you in learning the fundamentals, how you evaluate that, and how you look at the technical analysis, and the mindset of not being fearful when things go down and waiting for the right time to exit.
And when you said that exactly, Longwealth Capital teaching you the fundamentals and the technicals and the coaching, what was like when you, obviously before us as well, what did you try before? I know you mentioned high dividend yields. What else did you try specifically?
Yeah, I signed up for a number of services, and every service has their own what they call edge, right? Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of different strategies, and none of them are necessarily bad. It's just I expect, and many expect, that there will be a large correction in the future. Mm-hmm. And so I wanted to learn more about the undervalued investing, because that protects you the most from a correction in the market. And so, yes, I've tried, and I'm still using some of those other services, and they have different strategies, and those strategies sometimes work well also. Mm-hmm. But I'm migrating more and more to shift my investments into undervalued securities.
And what would you say is with now you're shifting more to the undervalued method, what's the after effect now that you learned the undervalued method and now you're shifting more to it? What's the after effect that you've kind of got into with Longwealth Capital here?
I always perceived undervalued investing as buying when it's down and waiting years and holding until it's up. Mm-hmm. And that was a huge shift to me to know, get in at the right time. So that has made a huge difference in my mindset.
And when you say the paradigm shift, right, I guess what was the main takeaways when you joined Longwealth Capital and you had that paradigm shift for yourself as well?
Well, honestly, it's one of the things I've learned, it put it all together for me. I had heard about covered calls. Mm-hmm. I had heard about put selling, but it really seeing the fundamental analysis, seeing the technical analysis, and putting that all together, I realized that this is how many people trade with an advantage in the market by selling puts and selling calls. You know, they're basically creating in the market and they're creating those calls and puts. They're at an advantage versus most other traders.
And what would you say is your thoughts on the LWC community that you joined and been here for almost like 2, 3 years now for yourself here?
Yeah, I think I've actually been about 18 months, something
So,
like
year and a
that.
half,
But
almost 2 years.
yeah, about almost 2 years. So it's been wonderful. You know, it's been a give and take, right? I've tried to give back as much as I can to the group, and I've actually started to support LWC a little bit with my stock analyst. But it's just really been a good give and take, and I've certainly learned a lot. And honestly, I'm still learning, and probably always will, right? I would think the bigger picture is to learn the mindset.
Yeah.
You know, that doesn't come overnight. That takes time, and sometimes it takes some experience to learn and really get that mindset ingrained on what you should do when.
Love that. And I would say, like, especially being part of the program and LWC community for a year and a half, almost 2 years, would you recommend Longbow Capital to anyone here?
Absolutely. I actually have recommended it to several people. I don't think any have joined yet, but I would definitely recommend LWC to just about anybody, even if you're just starting out with trading and don't have a lot to trade, or those that have a lot to trade and maybe have been, you know, using mutual funds or picking stocks on their own in the market, regardless of what the market does, by joining and learning the techniques and the mindset.
I guess when you say that you would recommend to people, why would you recommend it to people?
Well, I mean, there is a lot of risk in the market, and doing the right thing, regardless of what the market does, doing the right thing and knowing and having that confidence of what you should do depending on what the market is doing is a huge difference, right? There will be downturns, there will be, you know, runaway markets, right? And knowing what you should do in either case is extremely important. Learning that mindset doesn't happen overnight, right? It takes some time.
And what would you say is your thoughts on Daryl himself, the founder?
Daryl is very interesting. He has a very sound mindset. I value everything he teaches, and I've learned a lot from him.